All right, you little mathematicians. Today we are going to learn about applying operations with rational numbers. Now, I know you might not exactly know what that means, so let's talk about rational numbers. Now, we've learned about integers, fractions, and decimals. Oh my! We have learned how to multiply, divide, add, subtract with all these different forms of numbers, all different rational numbers. So we're going to see problems today that could involve many of these different kinds of forms. So here's an example. The bill for a pizza was $14.50. Charles paid for 3/5 of the bill. So we are going to show two ways to find out how much Charles paid. So the problem we're doing, to figure out what the math is we need to do, the key is kind of right here, right? Charles paid 3/5 of the bill. So we are trying to find out what 3/5 of 1450 is. 3/5 of 1450. Well, the way we're going to find that out is by doing multiplication. A potential issue is that we haven't really learned how to multiply a fraction by a decimal. So the two ways we can do this problem are to turn both of the numbers into fractions, or rather to turn this one into a fraction, or to turn this one into a decimal. So first, let's use fractions. We've got our 3/5 as a fraction, that's cool. We need to turn 1450 into a fraction. So 1450 equals 14.5, which equals 14 5/10. And we can simplify 14 5/10 to 14 1/2. Now, in order to multiply fractions, we're going to do 3/5 times something. We'll have to turn this into an improper fraction. So 14 1/2, we would multiply 2 times 14, which is 28. Add the 1 to get 29 halves. So there we are. 3/5 times 29 halves. Now, I know that many of us might not know the answer to these math problems off the top of our head, but we're just doing 3/5 times 1450. That's all this is, 3/5 times 1450. It's just that we've turned our 1450 into this improper fraction. So 3 times 29 is 87. Oh boy, 87. And 5 times 2 is 10. So that's one way of thinking about the answer. Another way of thinking about the answer would be to turn that into a mixed number, which would be 8 7/10. Or if we want to think about it in money terms, monetary terms, that would be 8 7/10 of a dollar, which is the same as 70 cents. So here we would have our answer in terms of money. Okay, I know that took a while. We're going to see the problem now one more time if we turn them both into decimals. This is already a decimal, of course. Now we'll need to turn 3/5 into a decimal. Of course, if we ever want to turn a fraction into a decimal, every fraction is a division problem. So 3/5 we'll just do that division problem. 3 divided by 5. 5 goes into 3 0 times, but it goes into 30 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30, and here we'll see that we can end right there. So now we would just need to do 0.6 times 1450, right? I'm not going to do that math. We already know the answer from before is going to be $8.70. So the cool thing about these problems is it's kind of up to you how exactly to do them. You can either, we know we're doing 3/5 times 1450. We can either turn it into fractions like we did on the last slide, or we can turn them both into decimals and do the problem like this. Now that we know how to multiply decimals or fractions, we can do it either way. The choice is up to you to some extent. So I'm going to give you about just 2 problems on the Google form to work through that are similar to this one. Thanks a lot. See you in class.